Three-team trade to land Jimmy Butler with Golden State Warriors. The Golden State Warriors, less than 2 years removed from winning the NBA title, failed to make the playoffs this season. With that result, Klay Thompson entering free agency, Stephen Curry having turned 36 years old, and Draymond Green coming off a campaign riddled with suspensions, changes could be on the way. And this week, The Athletic's Anthony Slater suggested one potential target. We discussed some of the Warriors' options on our off-season preview podcast, Slater wrote. Two quick situations of note. If Brandon Ingram hits the trade market, I would not expect the Warriors to show interest. If the Heat shop Jimmy Butler, I would expect the Warriors to enter the conversation to at least some degree. There's a pretty important caveat there. Earlier this off-season, Pat Riley told reporters that Miami isn't thinking about trading Butler, but it's not hard to see why it might. Butler turns 35 in September and has struggled to stay on the floor throughout his Heat tenure. Those same issues could follow him to Golden State, but the Warriors may be desperate enough to take the risk. We've cooked up another three-team trade that would send Butler to Golden State, brighten Miami's future, and even help the Orlando Magic push for the second round in 2025. 1. The deal. As always, before we get into why each team could justify this deal, it helps to see the entire framework at a glance. Warriors receive Jimmy Butler, Cole Anthony, and Caleb Houston. Warriors lose Chris Paul, Andrew Wiggins, Moses Moody, Brandon Podziemski, a 2025 first-round pick from Golden State, a 2027 first-round pick from Golden State, and a 2029 first-round pick from Golden State. Heat receive Andrew Wiggins, Moses Moody, Brandon Podziemski, a 2025 first-round pick from Golden State, a 2027 first-round pick from Golden State, a 2029 first-round pick from Golden State, and a 2026 second-round pick from Orlando. Heat lose Jimmy Butler and Orlando Robinson. Magic receive Chris Paul and Orlando Robinson. Magic lose Cole Anthony, Caleb Houston, and a 2026 second-round pick. Feel free to quibble over the picks, prospects, and other smaller pieces involved here. The foundation is strong, and you'll see why with the explanations below. 2. Warriors go all in for Jimmy. Warriors receive Jimmy Butler, Cole Anthony, and Caleb Houston. Warriors lose Chris Paul, Andrew Wiggins, Moses Moody, Brandon Podziemski, a 2025 first-round pick from Golden State, a 2027 first-round pick from Golden State, and a 2029 first-round pick from Golden State. This may not reopen Golden State's title window for long, but it would open it pretty wide. Durability is a concern, but Butler was arguably a top 5, 10 player in 2022 to 23 and a borderline top 20 player this season. His cutting, playmaking, and passing would be a nightmare to cover with Curry and Thompson flanking him. He and Green could form the basis of a potentially nightmarish defense. If he were to play to the peak of his powers in 2024 to 25, he'd be the second-best teammate Curry's ever had. Given the age and injuries, 3 firsts, a rotation-level wing in Andrew Wiggins, and 2 promising young players may sound like a lot, but Curry may only have a couple years left at the best player on a title team level. Since the Warriors wouldn't be taking back the exact same amount of salary that they're sending out, this trade would cap them at the first apron, projected to be $178.7 million. They'd have to be mindful of that regarding Klay Thompson's free agency, but the addition of Butler might convince Thompson to re-sign for cheap. 3. Heat reboot. Heat receive Andrew Wiggins, Moses Moody, Brandon Podziemski, a 2025 first-round pick from Golden State, a 2027 first-round pick from Golden State, a 2029 first-round pick from Golden State, and a 2026 second-round pick from Orlando. Heat lose Jimmy Butler and Orlando Robinson. The picks are obviously big here, but the more intriguing parts of this package may be 21-year-old Brandon Podziemski and 22-year-old Moses Moody. If those two were added to a roster that already includes Sixth Man of the Year winner Tyler Herro, Jaime Jaquez Jr., and Nikola Jovic, Miami would suddenly have one of the league's most intriguing young cores. Heck, even Bam Adebayo, who'd be recast as the team's alpha after this deal, is on the right side of his prime. He turns 27 in July. Losing Butler would hurt in the short term, but he could be a free agent as early as 2025. And committing another big deal to him seems foolish, given how far Miami was from contention this season. A half step back is worth it for the opportunity to take a couple of steps forward in the future. 4. Magic by Paolo. Sometime, Magic receive Chris Paul and Orlando Robinson. Magic lose Cole Anthony, Caleb Houston, and a 2026 second-round pick. The NBA's new collective bargaining agreement brings some significant team-building restrictions for squads over the dreaded second apron, and the Heat could be threatening that line in 2024 to 25. They'll surely be looking at deals to shed salary this summer, and taking back 2 of Golden State's bigger contracts would make that difficult to do. Cue the Magic, who have a real need at point guard and can absorb salary into their cap space this offseason. The playmaking of both Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner is cool, and a few years from now, they may be ready to co-lead a competent attack. But Banchero's woefully inefficient scoring and Orlando having this season's 22 end-ranked offense suggests they still need some help. CP3 could manufacture better looks for the rising stars and everyone else on the team. And since Paul's contract expires after the 2024-25 season, if the experiment doesn't go well, the Magic can simply march forward without him in 2025. There's some risk here, since Cole Anthony is 24 and could be a valuable long-term piece, but it's worth it for the short-term upside that would accompany Paul.